Welcome to Glad We Had This Chat with me, Caroline Hirons. It's your one-stop shop for all things skincare, beauty and beyond. I know it's been a long time coming, but if you know me, you'll know I don't do anything half-hearted, half-ready or half-assed. Each week I will be joined by a brilliant guest, delving deep and hopefully leaving you thinking, well, I'm glad they had that chat. On this week's episode, I'm coming to you right from the heart of the Big Apple, where my first guest could only be Sarah Jessica Parker. Sarah Jessica, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm like, fine. And
we'll see how you feel at the end.
Well, I thought, am I feeling nauseous because like this isn't like me? Normally I can keep it cool. And then we came up and I was like, I think it's vertigo as well.
Oh no. Well, let's try to create
some it's gorgeous.
Sort of calm
it's gorgeous.
Conversation. Yeah, we're having a nice day.
First of all, straight into beauty and all that sort of stuff. What are your earliest memories of sort of beauty or skincare, or maybe, mine, for example, is watching both my mother and my grandmother taking their makeup off?
I think mine is the reverse. I'm one of 8 children, and our house was, as you can imagine, chaotic, and my mother did not allow herself time. Mm-hmm. I don't think my mother, and in fact, I've never asked her, I don't recall my mother putting lotion on or anything. What I do recall is her opening, and maybe you're too young to remember this, but Estee Lauder, Clinique had a silver eyeliner kit. And you dipped, and it came with a teeny brush, and you dipped it in water, and then you created a nice line. And this was, I'm thinking, 72, 73, 74. And I remember standing in the bathroom and watching her do that and really being impressed because I thought her hand was really steady. Yeah. She was an illustrator. She's an artist. She was illustrated children's books. So that was her
penmanship.
And her beautiful pen, to this day. She'll be 87 in July. So I remember that, and I remember, in terms of beauty, I do recall and remember and still think that my mother was beautiful. She didn't look like other people. Yeah. And maybe that was also impressive to me. I couldn't have put it in those words at the time.
She wasn't trying to just emulate the sort of status quo
I
of
think
what
there were
beauty was.
Things she definitely emulated. There were influences in her life. And I would certainly say that Audrey Hepburn probably played a role in her idea of classic, sort of timeless style. She didn't have the money or the means to...
Or time.
I think her interest was there. I think it's a 20-year gap. Yeah.
So there's never a peaceful
She was pregnant
moment.
Always, and then had always 2 or 3 in diapers or potty training. I also remember one other thing which was definitely influential was before she went out, and she didn't go out a lot socially, but she was very involved in our public school system and in local politics, so she was out in the world. But on the occasion she would go, because this was in Cincinnati, we had a ballet and an opera and a symphony and theater, being downwind of her.
Oh, the best.
At the last spray of her fragrance.
As they walk out the door.
Which I was just like...
That is the best memories.
Yeah.
When
like
they're
otherworldly.
Out, they'd spray and they'd link you, be like, oh, one day I'm going to be like
just
that.
Really pleasant.
What fragrance did she wear?
She was an Estee Lauder lady. I think she Miss Estee and various white linen eventually, which isn't my kind of fragrance because it's very floral and high, and I think those things were beautiful. I loved, she made a lot of our clothing, she made her clothes, and they were really beautiful when she had the time to do it. And the things that she thought were beautiful at the time, I wouldn't have seen, I didn't want to wear what she wanted me to wear, but later in life I was like, oh, she was right.
She was spot on.
Yeah.
Did you pass anything on to your daughters? Because I know you've got 2 girls. Have you passed anything on?
I mean, thus far, they're very much their own people. Probably, and it's not related to beauty. I mean, they do wear sunscreen, which I did not wear growing up at all.
None of us did.
We had, Coppertone 8.
We had a Wine-Tropic 2.
Yes.
And a foil thing under our face in the 80s like this. And you'd be
but
like,
even our mothers gave us the Coppertone 8.
No, they thought they were being healthy.
It was, so they wear sunscreen, always. My daughter, Tabitha, who is the more olive complexion, she wears it more often than any of us, during the cold months. But the thing that they do that I like, which was certainly shepherded by me, is they do go to thrift shops and vintage shops to buy
So does my daughter.
clothes.
She's obsessed.
Yeah, and I think it's great. It's a
amazing.
and they're not going for vintage pieces that are important. It's really to try to figure out who they are and express
and
themselves.
the story and what it is. And
And some of it's, not special, but it doesn't matter to me at all, and I prefer it to...
It's better than the alternative where it's like, give me a credit card.
Yeah.
This is going to sound strange, but this is what when I was watching, because Alex and I, who's here out the back, we went to see you and your husband in Plaza Suite.
Yes.
It was fantastic.
Thank
I
you.
almost bust a gut in Act 2 when Matthew was crawling all over the floor. And
Which I've never seen.
honestly, I was just like, this is unexpected.
Yes.
Because I always have the Walter Matthau scene in my head from the film, because my husband does it all the time, just joking.
Now I can finally watch the movie, just so you know, I've never seen it.
Oh, well, I won't spoil anything for you. Clearly, I think you know the story.
You're okay.
But it's just Walter Matthau, just the way he goes, get out of the damn bathroom. And my husband does it if I'm in the bathroom, so it's always had that connection. But I was watching it, and the first thing that came into my head was, so my big thing is when I leave work, I go home, bun up. That sounds something else if people smoke weed. I mean bun up on my head.
Yes,
I don't mean bun up the way
Go
they do
home,
on my
bun
sunburn.
up.
Bun up, bra off, face off.
Yeah.
But when I've been listening recently to you, like when you did Ruthie's podcast, and you were talking about how you go out for dinner after you've done the play, and I'm like, well, first of all, where does the energy come from? Because it's a long play.
Yes.
And
It doesn't feel long.
No. I mean, like,
but
for
there's
you,
3 acts.
and there's so much involved.
Yes.
So when do you take your face off? Do you do it when you get in?
So
and you're
this
finally
was
done?
a conundrum for me because, as you know, this is not a criticism, it's just a fact. Restaurants close very early in London, and we really struggled to find a place where we weren't intruding on the server's schedule.
Servers who want to go home.
Yeah, really, and also have the last train. You guys have the tube issue.
Yeah.
You have amazing public transportation, but some trains stop at midnight, I believe.
Yeah.
The earliest we could ever get any place if we signed afterwards was 10:45, which is asking a lot of people. And we did a nice amount of research, and then actually the Independent created a list because they'd heard us talking about it, which was really helpful.
Late night eating.
A late night eating, because that's our biggest meal of the day.
Yeah.
But in order to do that and not keep people waiting, I had to make decisions about what I was going to take off, because I would be ashamed to be seen with that much makeup on. I don't wear false lashes or anything like that in life. So what I would do is I actually used Rock, my hand on my heart. There's our daily with sunscreen. And I would just kind of like take off the base and stuff and leave the lashes on.
Yeah.
And I would take the lashes off at night when I got home. Put them in a little container to take back the next day.
Take them back the next day to make up.
To clean and wear again. And in New York, I had a little bit more liberty to take more off. I always take my lipstick off because I don't wear lipstick, and it's that bright pink.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's good. The makeup works because we were at the front of the circle.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Because I do it myself.
Oh my God.
I had to learn how to do it. I've done it once for a Broadway show, but I was also much younger. And this was very specific, and it had to work in 3 acts basically.
Yeah.
With
Quick
changing
change.
lipstick. Yeah, there's a very
And what about the
quick
hair
change.
and the wigs and the...
Those are all wigs, and I don't know. I don't do that. Someone wraps
Okay, you
me
had someone there.
at half hour, puts the wigs on, the fast change wigs. The other thing that was like taxing about that show is it's a lot to take off at night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, film...
Especially if you're not used to it.
Yeah, film makeup is not... It doesn't need to be as durable, and you're not wearing false eyelashes, or I don't anyway.
Yeah.
Getting glue off every night and stuff. But it's, it is what it is.
So what was your routine when you got home? What is your routine?
Lashes.
Peel off.
Tail it off. I use, I still use, take the day off with the Clinique.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the best thing for that kind of stage makeup. It's grease.
It really
Grease.
is. And then it's a oil pump. I think it's a Japanese, forgive
Shimamura.
me. It's not Shimura, it's Boja.
Oh, I know the one you mean.
And it's in a mint green pump. And so I do that everywhere.
Oh, nice.
And then I take the day off. And then I would just get, honestly, from Boots, they just have £1.99 or £1.99, you'd say, and just wipes that have no fragrance. And I'd wipe it all because I was afraid I would clog the sink with the amount of oil I was wiping off. And then I'd wash my face proper with anything.
I know. That gives me a bit of a conniption and a palpitation when you say soap, because cleansing is my thing. So it's fine. I mean, your skin is, there's no judgment. I never do judgment. I'm just like,
My husband uses a bar of soap.
So does mine.
Bar soap.
And his skin looks great.
My husband's skin is so beautiful.
I hate them for
He wore
it.
no makeup on stage, of course. But I use, honestly, any soap. I don't care. And people send free cleansers, and I use them. But I'm less good about purchasing. I did purchase at Boots, though, because I ran out of the theater, and they don't have bar soap at the theater. They only have, like, antibacterial hand soap. Even I'd draw the line.
Yeah.
But E45 has a nice foaming facial cleanser.
Yeah.
I love E40. I fell in love with the body. E45.
Just anything. I like a pharmacy shop, so when I'm here, I go to like Christopher Street Pharmacy, where it's just more interesting. It's not just a basic CVS.
Yeah.
Just anywhere I can go.
I
and
can
poke
recommend
around.
2 really beautiful
Oh,
pharmacies.
I'm so
in New York.
excited! It's like my crack. Okay.
Yeah.
What are the most used products in your makeup bag?
Makeup, not
makeup.
skincare.
Oh, don't worry, I'm going to hit you up with skincare.
Lip gloss.
I love a lip gloss.
Always. Any smoky eye pencil. And I have a lot from the past. I still have a bounty of do you remember prescriptions?
Oh, yeah.
I still have a bounty of prescriptions. Void, which is what I'm wearing right now.
Wow.
And Jet, which is just their
the
black.
colours. Oh,
yeah,
the
one's
colours.
called Void and one's called Jet. And I probably have about 6 or 8 left.
Amazing.
And
Because they must have been out of date maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I still have them. And those are probably the 2 most important things to me.
Lip gloss and an eye.
Yeah, I don't typically wear mascara or base or anything like that. Milk makes a nice blush that's just...
It's so easy.
It's so easy, and it moves nicely, and it absorbs, so it's not sitting on top.
I just want ease.
I don't know a lot about... I sound like I'm... And
well,
then,
you do, because you did your own stage makeup. That's insane.
I mean, but I'm not good like other people are really good at doing their own makeup.
I do a good base.
Really, I struggle with base. There's a base that I love from Italy, and they stopped doing it because it was a kind of a collagen-based. So it just really went in, and it's beautiful, and it's gone. So I have to sort of struggle with like putting a huge amount of the Rock moisturizer into any base to just
soften it.
Take it down. Take
the pigment down.
I like seeing skin.
I love seeing skin. It's my favourite. Speaking of skincare, so what are your skincare must-haves?
It's the Rock Daily moisturizer, which is fantastic. We use it for touch-ups after lunch on movies and TV because you can just clean up. And it's got a decent amount of shine, but it's not overwhelming.
You don't want glitter.
You don't, right.
I'm a woman of a certain age. I'm not going to Coachella. Yes. I'm at home with the grandkids. I just want glitter. I want glow, not glitter.
Skin to have some reflection points. So that's really important. They have 2 overnights. They have this one, which I use every single night, as does my mother. And an eye cream, I try to not have a lot of steps before bed.
What skincare advice do you give to your kids? Because I've got kids similar age, but sunscreen.
That's it.
But then just in terms of, like, are they interested in makeup?
They're interested in it, I think, pretty much appropriately so.
Yeah.
They do the line with
eye.
everybody.
They all do it so perfectly.
Aged, and they think they don't do it well. And I'm like, I couldn't do that.
My daughter does her makeup, and I sit and watch her going.
I think it's because of... videos and the opportunity to really study.
They sit and study.
And look and learn. For that, it's been useful. So they do that, but not consistently. They wear gloss.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's coming from things that people send me. I would prefer they not spend their money yet on makeup.
Because it will come.
It will, and a lot of it's experimental and wrong, and they'll know that. I'm not going to tell them that.
Nice. Let them do it.
I have to let them
They'll figure
out
for
who
themselves.
they are and what feels good and what looks good. And they sometimes arrive at the conclusion that I think, I wouldn't do that to my eye, but she has to do it.
Yeah, go for it. You look great.
And maybe I'm wrong anyway. I just want them to feel okay when they walk out the door.
Yeah.
I want them to feel okay all the time.
Which
is impossible, but I would certainly want them to feel as close to who they think they are or want to be seen as. So it's my job, and I think it's like the hardest part of being a disciplined parent is to not impose yourself on those creative experiments.
Let them have their space, but still being...
and they're different than me.
Managerial.
You want to be a voice of... You want to be counsel.
Yes, exactly. You want them to be able to come to you.
Yeah.
And not sort of try and sneak out the house and then do a full face because they think that you're going to judge
Which
them
I
or
did
something.
because my mother objected so much to so many kind of trendy things. But I did that. I would get in the car or get to school and, I had a particular affection for eventually what Princess Diana did, which was the blue inside.
Yeah.
That nice bright tealy blue. Like I worshiped that. My mother was like not...
You're not doing it.
Supportive. of that.
But she is now, obviously. She grew into it, or she doesn't? Does she wear makeup?
She wears beautiful, simple makeup.
The best.
She wears the same thing she's always worn. She wears, a carnation-colored mouth.
It sounds like you're kind of chilled about the whole thing. Is there anything that if your bathroom cabinet or your makeup was on fire, you'd not thinking about mementos or your children, obviously, but was there anything you'd be like, you'd be annoyed to lose?
If I had time to be superficial.
Yes, if you have time to be superficial, what would you say? Oh, I'd be annoyed to lose that.
In terms of...
Yeah.
Not skincare. We'll put that aside.
Yeah, or makeup.
Skincare moisturizer. I just love it. I count on it. I keep it in my purse. I put it on all day long.
Yeah.
Not because I can tell you its efficacy or any of that. It's just how you feel.
Yeah.
And I think it makes anything look fresh.
It makes everything look fresh. Hydration.
I would say that. I would say an eye pencil, sincerely.
Yeah.
A good eye brush, and they're very hard to find, of a very specific type I like.
Yeah.
I think lip gloss. Fragrance.
Yeah.
Fragrance.
Or do you have loads, or do you tend to wear? I always feel bad asking people what they wear, because when people ask me, they say, "Oh, you wear?" Because I wear like 3 depending on the day.
I wear a bunch of different.
And a little bit of me is like, I don't want to tell you. I don't want to smell like me.
Well, I only want it because it's so personal.
It's so personal.
And I think I don't mind doing it in a way. I always share whatever I'm wearing. I always will tell somebody, or I'll hand it off, or I'll write it down, because too, like other things, it's just hard to find things that feel individual or special. Yeah. But I rotate. I used to wear Stash, which was one of ours, which we're not currently
That'll
producing.
Be the first question people will be harassing me for.
We're not producing it right now. It doesn't mean we won't again. Lovely's in my arsenal, but it's more like a sentimental one. I'm not wearing it right now.
Yeah.
But I wear 3 different fragrances, basically.
So do I.
Yeah.
Every day. So
and I mostly like men's fragrances, which are now sort of
more
without gender.
And more available.
They're not intended for one, or for anybody. So those are probably 3 things I would grab.
This episode is obviously brought to you by the SkinRocks app, your free-to-download ultimate guide to skincare, made by me, all in one place, with a catalogue of over 24,000 products and over 600 expertly written articles and guides with new content daily. It really is your destination for your best skin yet. And I'm thrilled, because I can, to offer you an exclusive discount to unlock an elevated app experience with exclusive features and even more skincare expertise from me, plus so much more. Revolutionise the way you discover, shop and learn about skincare with our multi-award-winning app. Download the SkinRocks app for free and sign up to Premium with your exclusive code CHPOD, all in caps, to save £10 off your annual subscription. More details in the show notes. What were you looking for in a skincare brand? So when Rock approached you and said, let's hang out,
yeah.
What made you say, oh, okay? Because I've sensed that you wouldn't take any bullshit. You'll just be like, oh, this is all marketing. If all the pictures are of 18-year-olds and they're trying to sell you a cream that's for our age group, it's just not for me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you would be the same. So what was the attraction with Rock?
Well, I think meeting the team, meeting Fernando, who is, first of all, you probably know him. He's just
so sweet.
Elegance and deeply committed to the brand. He is genuinely interested in the history, the legacy, the product. It's a science-based company. That's its calling card.
Yeah.
And like I said, if I was Kristen Davis, I could, write a thesis about this.
Yeah.
I am much less well-versed, but I do know that I want to be involved with something that A, is real and actually has science and data behind it, that has taken a real keen interest in women of all ages, that is also doing something that is trying to be accessible financially, that is available everywhere. So it's not, you don't have to mortgage your home.
And you don't have to go somewhere where you feel a bit more intimidated to buy it.
Yeah, and I think they make it very clear about what they recommend, what's a nice part of a routine, how much you really need. I don't feel that they force a brand on a customer. I think the customer comes to it because of a friend or because they saw an ad. But I think the thing that's so special about Rock is its sort of staying power.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to learn everything. Not a long time, but I wanted to figure out, okay, how can I integrate this into what I already do? If I'm really committed or kind of loyal to something, which was one thing, simple thing. Does this work? Like, can I talk about it authentically? And that my experience has just been that it's been very easy. And not every product in the line is for me.
Cool.
But every time they produce something new, it's because they feel that there is a real call for it, or they see the way it can marry or couple up with something else, maybe in their line, maybe in somebody else's line.
Yeah, it's a great philosophy.
And I love the products. Like, I can count, I brought them with me, I use them up, I am a genuine user of the product. And I think that's the thing that has felt best of all. And it's a much more committed relationship now, even than it was 2 years ago.
And their messaging is good as well, isn't it? Because they don't do retouching. They're very aware of the link between sort of mental health if someone's got bad skin.
And they put their money behind mental health programs and reaching out to women. And the other thing, too, is they don't talk about, look younger, you're younger self. It's like,
I don't want to be younger.
I mean, there's things about being younger that I think, I should have really enjoyed those things. Like, the way an arm feels or a neck feels, or, what you can physically do that is just more effortless. But there's nothing you can do about it. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time thinking, I sure wish I was younger. And I'm glad that Rock...
What's the alternative?
Yeah, and Rock is not really interested in making you feel that either. I think they're interested in celebrating the adventure of a life.
Yeah.
And the accumulation of all the good that can come with it. And how do you feel your best?
Smile lines. I mean, I like Nora Ephron when she says, the difference between us and our grandmothers is polar neck sweaters and hair dye.
Oh, right, exactly, yeah.
And then, she said, if I could tell the younger people something, it would be, I'm remorseful for the body I had when I was 25, and if I was you, I'd walk around in a bikini all damn day.
Yes, of course.
Because you're not just constantly paranoid about how you look and how your body looks.
I know, it's terrible. But then I travel to parts of Europe, and I look at women, and they don't seem to be at all perturbed or concerned, or they're just on the beach, all shapes and sizes, and I'm like,
especially the French,
so fantastic,
especially the French
and the Spanish
and Italians, actually, they all do. Yeah, it's
just really refreshing, and I don't know that you remember it when you should, but it's inspiring.
Diversing slightly, you obviously live in New York, and I know you like to walk. I'm a walker. Do you do anything else to keep fit, or is it just...
I go through periods where I do. I'm going to try again. I mean, the show was so physical. Yeah. It was a lot that it was, like, honestly hard to keep weight on, No, I don't. Well, I'm not saying that to brag, because I don't like...
I know.
I don't like being thin. I mean, I don't think... that's everybody. Yeah. A lot of people have their kind of their cross to bear, and if you met my siblings, it's the same genetic makeup, and I don't particularly think or celebrate being thin.
No,
I really don't. I would prefer to have weight, but that's just the way my body works.
Yeah, it's genetic makeup.
So. Now that I'm home and not running around, for 3 hours, I actually just want to. I have the opportunity to do it, or to try to do it now before we start shooting again in less than 2 weeks. But also just to make, I think I generally feel better when I'm doing something different than just walking.
Do you do much with the kids when you're not asking personal questions, but do they still keep you as active now that the teens are older?
No. I mean... we live in a house with stairs, so I'm always up and down the stairs. But the girls have they're volleyball players, and so that's like a lot of physical activity for them. And one of my daughter runs just on her own. And the other one will run occasionally too, but the other one is like, I'm going out for a run, I'll be back in 30 minutes on her own,
Bless her. How old are they, though?
They'll be 15 at the end of June. I know, I can't believe.
Are they still adorable? I say that nicely. It sounds like I'm casting shade on my daughter.
No, it doesn't.
It was just between 15 and 18, she was satanic.
I mean,
I say it with love.
They are mercurial. But I feel like that's pretty much right on target for their age.
Exactly.
But they're mostly really nice. I mean, there are times that I do the wrong thing, say the wrong thing. I annoy them. I'm their mother. And
you wake up and you breathe.
Yeah, and I just don't think their father has the same opportunity to aggravate them for some reason.
My husband we've got 3 sons and 1 daughter, and he's absolutely useless. Yeah. Useless when it comes to a daughter. Well, with all of them, I'm the disciplinarian, but he is useless.
Yeah.
Just she'll be like, Dad, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has this very soft approach to life, or seemingly so. Yeah. It's not completely that way, because still waters run deep, you know.
Yeah, of course.
And the way it's shaken out in our house is I'm just the person that's more of I'm organizing their lives in ways that is both helpful and annoying.
Yes.
And that too is like a badge of honor. And it makes it so sometimes that I feel that I'm not liked always, but I think you have to be willing to risk that with your children. And it doesn't mean that Matthew doesn't step in when he finds something that is,
of course,
you know, needs to be addressed. And it's pretty scary when it happens, by the way.
So maybe it's really common. That's exactly what my husband is like. I think if he raises his voice, I'm like, wow, someone must have got arrested. Some shit just went down. Someone is in trouble somewhere. What if he's raised his voice? Because normally it's me.
Yeah, I mean, I do their laundry. I tell them this. I make sure they remind them about that. I'm, you know, charge your phone. Derek can't leave the house. Do this, do that. Check the right before I left. I said, who's checking the litter box? I did leave the house, and Loretta was doing the litter boxes. But there's a lot of that in our lives, and that's can be more common for the mother parent. But it's not always the case, and everybody takes on different roles, and a lot of that then. With that comes a huge source of joy at the outcome of those efforts.
It does come round. I mean, my daughter and I clashed, like I say, 15 to 18, and she started to be less psycho in a nice way. She agrees with me now, but it comes back around. You know, she said to me recently, Mum, I think I just want to thank you. And I was like, I went, pardon? And terribly, my first thought was, how much do you want? And she said, no, seriously, all of my friends, and she went, well, not all of them, but most of them have got some kind of anxiety or an eating problem and she said, but you never once mentioned food to me. You never said, don't eat that. You always said I was smart, beautiful, capable, even when I was driving you crazy and we were fighting. And so thank you. And I was like, oh,
that's
babe,
amazing.
That's okay. And then I went,
yeah, it's amazing.
Years 15 to 18 were worth it.
100%. And that's, too, I think another thing is I just can't imagine being their age now. No, you know, we thought that media and advertising was irresponsible when we were younger, and we never do that in our house, I will say. There is, like, we have all the food groups.
We had all the food groups. And she's never heard me say... I mean, she might have heard me say something like, oh, I might have to loosen the trouser a bit because I've been binging on like a bit of white bread and butter, or, you know.
Right, but that's
never
about
like, oh, God, I'm so fat, I'm so ugly, and I just don't talk to myself like that because...
Won't do it.
My mother didn't talk to me like that.
My mother never did that. No, my mother was very restrictive. We didn't have sugar in the house, or we weren't allowed to have cookies, candy, ice cream, soda. As a result, I left the house and went out and bought
all of it.
Entenmann's cookies and Coca-Colas and stuff like that. Yeah. But that was not about our weight, how we looked in the world, what people thought of our physical beings. It was an attempt to have us eat healthy in a time where there weren't a lot of options that didn't involve restriction of junk. And my mother was doing her best to try to give us a palate that you know.
Yeah, I mean, I was raised in Mississippi, and it was like Twinkies.
You were raised in Mississippi?
Yeah, my mother was born in Mississippi. My grandfather was a GI, so I met my grandmother in Liverpool.
Your grandfather was a GI?
Yeah.
Oh, so wait, what age did you move to Mississippi?
We went to Mississippi when I was like 4. I moved back when I was 10.
That's a long time. Those are pretty formative years. Fascinating. So your point about food in Mississippi was that...
Well, my lunch was ham, bologna sandwich, Twinkies, But then Mum would cook, and she was a restaurant manager, so there was always good food around. And when I was listening to the podcast she did with Ruth about, you know, River Cafe, it was very, you both cook all the time, which is unheard of in New York. Like, that's the joke, right? Everyone does takeout.
Yeah.
But you cook, and you both love cooking.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a chore. Sometimes you're like, oh my God, Emily, what does everyone want for dinner? I mean, it's the question we always ask. But on the other hand, you create a longer time together. The kids love it. They know that they're lucky. They always say, I can't believe you guys cook for us every night, you know? I mean, we've ordered out. The girls last night said to me, Mama, what's for dinner? Because they were going to go to the movies. I was taking them to the movies. And I said, because my husband's not feeling well and I was working. I said, I haven't planned anything yet because my husband, I didn't know if he was going to eat or could eat. So they said, can we order in, please?
Nice.
So I said, yes, of course. Tabitha said, I'm just going to make pasta, peas, and bacon. She ended up cooking dinner. She cooked dinner for us the other night that was unbelievable.
But you see, that's just germinated from both of you.
She's a great cook. I mean, she does really, truly great things. Not like she make beautiful Asian noodles, like very complex Asian noodles. She made the other day, she went out by herself to the grocery store and got leeks, cannellini beans, miso.
As you do. And she's, 14?
Yeah. And she made for myself and Loretta beautiful leek dish that you then put on toast with fresh garlic. And
oh my God.
She fried eggs for you're supposed to do it, she said, with a jammy egg.
Oh my God.
But she does that all the time. She really does, which is great.
Oh, that's your influence.
So our ordering in, me saying, yes, of course, order in.
That helped because she didn't. She made it herself.
Yeah.
Well, that brings me around to one of my final questions, actually. So and this is Al, who's in there. She's a RMD and my business partner, and she asked this at interviews, which kills me, because if she asked me, I'd be like, if you could have 5 people at a dinner table, dead or alive,
oh God,
who would they be?
Worst at this.
But I'll give you, so basically, generally they get hired if the first thing they say is like my grandmother, because you're like,
right. Yes.
So I think, we get a lot of
Well,
people
I would have Matthew's father, who I never had the opportunity to meet, who was a beloved man.
Yeah.
Oh God, I should have these answers ready because you're not the first person that's asked me about this, and I really.
It's good though. If
I probably have. Let's see. I'd probably have mostly authors. Donna Tartt,
Southern writer.
Yes. Patrick Radden Keefe, who's one of my favorite writers, and Zadie Smith probably, because I love her so much. I love her books. Paul Murray, who wrote The Bee Sting this year.
Oh yeah. Where do you get the time? Because you seem so busy, like so on the go. And if you, like you said earlier, you're going to start shooting again in a couple of weeks. Yeah. Is it in between, like?
Well, when I was doing the play, it was easier because I was not learning lines.
Right.
So all my time getting to work, getting home, waiting before bed at night.
Yeah.
Now that will shift because before bed at night, I'll just be looking at a script one more time. I'll be reading a script in the van. I'll be reading a script on the way to work, on the way home from work, in between, because I try to learn my lines for the week. But reading is what I do on the set in between.
Yeah.
And if I'm really disciplined, which I usually am, I'll find time because I can't.
It's what you do.
Not read. Yeah.
It's your thing.
Eugene McCarthy.
So basically, it's an author's dinner.
Maybe Harriet Tubman, which would be maybe the most thrilling thing in the world. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
I can't
Thank
believe
you
that
so
you
much.
were like, that your team were like, oh yeah, no, can you do Saturday? I was like, what?
Well, I couldn't believe you offered Saturday.
Hello?
Because I thought there might be some blackout times, but thank you.
Sorry,
I really appreciate it.
If you said you're available Saturday, we're going to be available Saturday.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. You've made this so much fun, and tell you everyone in your country thank you for their incredibly warm and hospitable
They loved you. You
embrace.
can tell because the press, there was nothing, and our press is hideous, and there was nothing. It was all just
they were great.
A signing after the show, and I'm like, they love you.
Well, they were great. Everybody was great. Your audiences were great. The Savoy Theater is beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
It's a gorgeous theater.
I loved the cheering because
oh my gosh, it was so nice.
You kind of don't. You know it's going to happen. I've been to see Les Mis a lot, and every time Alfie Boe walked out, people would be like, "Wah!" And so when you came out and everyone cheered, and then when Matthew came out and everyone cheered, I thought, "Oh, this is nice.
It's really nice."
It's
but
so
I heard
sweet.
people don't. That's not as traditional there as it is here.
No, you don't do that. It's very British. You
so
just clap
it was
at the
really
end.
because they even warned us in advance because after in New York that's fairly standard and it's very nice. But Adam Spears, who's head of ATG, who's our dear friend and he kind of sat us down and gave us a little rundown of lower your expectations. There's not entrance applause in London.
But apparently there is.
And there's not standing ovations as much, although I found that every play I went to, deservedly, people stood.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, that's, I think, more common than...
They do, for sure. Well...
Doesn't mean they're not discerning.
No. Well, we love the play. It's
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you for your
lovely to
time.
meet you. Thank you so much. Best to everybody home.
Thank you.
You can hear much more from my chat with Sarah Jessica this Wednesday when we both answer your questions. Tune in if you'd like to know if SJP prefers a full English or a good old roast dinner. New episodes are available every Monday and Wednesday. Follow or subscribe now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Glad We Had This Chat is produced by Wall to Wall Media.